So, there has been a lot of hubbub around Brexit. There's the issue that I've gone over previously with the Northern Ireland Protocol, and Liz Truss has said she's going to go back to the European Union and try and renegotiate even more additional trade deals, with between to make sure that there can be even more free flowing goods between Northern Ireland and Great Britain, which obviously isn't going to work. They've broken international law to renege on the deal. So the issues with all the problems with Brexit that we've been having over the past, however many years since the referendum, that's not being fixed still. After 6 years, and we're still fucking rattling over the points with regards to what happens with Brexit, because literally no one's going to admit the the red lines that have been drawn in the sand are impossible to be able to get around without changing how we're going to be doing things. So Keir Starmer has set out his own plan to make Brexit work for Britain, which is interesting. It's interesting for a couple of reasons. The first was is the first reason that it's interesting is that it's completely fucking empty. Let's have a look. So first of all, sort out the Northern Ireland Protocol, which I can't believe, right? I can't even know one thought of that. I can't believe no one thought of just sorting out the Northern Ireland Protocol. I didn't realise it was so simple. I didn't realise all you had to do was sort it out, and we'd be good to go. It's amazing that no one had sorted it out already, really, isn't it? Second down one is tear down unnecessary trade barriers, which is literally what Liz Truss is trying to do right now, to try and renegotiate trade barriers with the European Union that they've also drawn as red lines because that threatens the sanctity of the single market. So why he thinks that's a good point doesn't make any sense to me, because that's literally what's already happening, and it's not working because it is in contravention of the deal that was originally agreed with the European Union. Third is support our world leading services and scientists, because what I mean, yeah, okay, great. You like good things and dislike bad things, Keith. Well done. As well as keeping Britain safe and investing in Britain. Okay, what were you? I was supposed to not keeping Britain safe and investing in the oceanic island of Kiribati. Brilliant. Okay, 100. Wow, excellent work there, Keith. These pledges make a load of sense. Maybe I am being far too harsh on how pointless these seem, but let's see what his actual plan is. Right. On Labour's plan to make Brexit work, Keir Starmer will say, the crucial ingredient has always been characterised progress in relations between our islands been eroded by this government. Labour will change that, apparently. We'll be the honest broker our countries need. We'll get the protocol working somehow, and we'll make the springboard to secure a better deal for the British people. Brilliant. Labour would eliminate most border checks created by the Tory Brexit deal, with a new veterinary agreement for agri products between the UK and the EU. That is what Liz Truss is doing. That's literally what Liz Truss is doing when in her negotiations with the European Union right now. So you're saying, like, we are going to regain the trust that's been eroded by this government, when you're literally doing what the government is doing at this point in time by reneging on the deal that they sought out and trying to get a better deal on agri products coming. That's literally what she's doing. And it's obviously not going to work, and the EU have said that it's not going to work. So why they're just proposing do exactly what the government's doing as some kind of alternative? This makes no fucking sense. We will get the protocol working by literally doing exactly what the Tories are doing, and it also not working for them. As well as building trust, Labour would eliminate most border checks created by the Tory Brexit. No, it's created by the European Union's sanctity of their single market, by us withdrawing from it, or withdrawing from the customs union at the very least. Like, the trade barriers exist because that's the negotiation that the EU have come to try and give the UK the best deal possible. You can't renegotiate this any more than Liz Truss is doing so. This is in no way and this has nothing to do with the Tory Brexit deal. As much as I would like to admit that it was all the Tories' fault, because it usually is. That's just a function. That's just a function of what happens when you leave the customs union. And let's be clear, right? I'm just to preface this. I probably should have prefaced this earlier, but I'm going to say this now. Keir Starmer has explicitly said that he's not rejoining the single market and he's not rejoining the customs union. That's not possible. It's not possible to create no border checks, and to tear down the trade barriers without rejoining either the customs union or the single market. This doesn't. This is a fool's errand, and we're just going to keep going in circles over and over and over again, because this isn't how the European Union works. How nobody on either side of the political divide in the Commons, in government, doesn't understand the function of the EU, it's absolutely fucking blowing my mind. Blah blah. Support Britain's world-leading industries. Okay, that's nothing to do with Brexit. Vladimir Putin. Okay, brilliant. Including the scary man, because that's just political gold dust for centrists at the moment. It's just say that everything is Putin's fault. The final plan be to invest in Britain. The lesson of the last decade is that if we try to achieve economic growth and see the benefits flowing to every part of our country, we cannot simply be bystanders. The Tory plan set out by Mogg is about cutting standards and regulations protections before stepping back and gulping at the power of the market. Labour's plan looks very different. We work hand in hand with business to bring the good, clean jobs of the future to our shores, harnessing the power of government alongside the ingenuity of a brilliant private sector. How? How are you going to be doing that, Keir? You've not explained how you're going to be using the power of government for good. Like, okay, brilliant. We're going to nationalise anything. Like, what? Like that is Labour's plan to make Brexit work. You've given us nothing. You said here we're gonna fix the Northern Ireland Protocol by doing exactly what the government is trying and failing to do right now because it's not possible. And then we're also just going to use the government to do good things and none of the bad things. Brilliant, great, wonderful, incredibly highly detailed plan there from Labour. And you know what? All of the fucking blue ticks have fucking eaten this shit up. They've eaten this. They've absolutely fucking consumed. They've consumed all of this by like they Keir Starmer cannot do no wrong in their eyes, despite the fact that literally none of this is correct. None of this, or none of it is even promising anything. It's all just platitudes. There's no concrete policy action. It's just we will do the good things and not the bad things. Yeah, plan here meaning a bunch of meaningless political speaking propaganda that says literally nothing, and all of the fucking FBPE crowd have all lapped it up, right? All of the FBPE crowd saying, uh, okay, brilliant. I understand that we hated Jeremy Corbyn for saying that, oh, he rated the EU a 7, and him being a secret Brexiteer, like the fifth column Brexiteer within the Labour Party. And now Keir Starmer's come out and said we're never rejoining the European Union. There's no case to rejoin, and we're not joining the single market or the customs union either. And all the previous people who were fucking laying into Jeremy Corbyn for trying to make some kind of Brexit compromise deal to do the best for British workers at the time as an opposition to the Conservatives, which by our mind included rejoining the customs union because that's the most unhinged policy that's come out of like the ERG red lines that Boris Johnson refuses to cross, and now apparently Keir Starmer refuses to cross as well. And now they're just like, oh, it's we can't afford to exhaust ourselves pushing against Starmer individual policy issues. The policy is firmly committed to voting reform, which I guess is correct, but this is a person just like absolutely. He's literally. He's trying to say that we should be being like anti-Brexit when he knows that it's not going to work. The FBP is just like they. I just don't get these people. Like this is Brian Cox, right? The same person who absolutely fucking vilified Jeremy Corbyn for being for trying to act within the will of the people in 2017 to try and move the goalposts upon what is an acceptable idea of the UK's exit from the European Union that everybody else did, and trying to get a deal that would actually work pragmatically. They fucking monstered him for not explicitly being some kind of pro-EU person because they believe that they had the God-given right to decide what was correct for the country, even against a democratic majority saying the opposite to them, right? I agree. The thing is, I agree with most FPPs, right? I agree with the vast majority of people who are FBPs in that I think that Brexit is a bad idea that we shouldn't have done. I absolutely agree with them. But that doesn't mean that we can just abandon democracy because I don't like it and I think that it's bad. And even if we think that it's demonstrably bad materially, that's unfortunately that's just the case of what happens with democracy a lot of the time. And the best thing that we can do is work pragmatically to work within that democratic majority to make Brexit being something that is going to be, the damage of which that we can minimise. But they spent so much time having literally it being a Boolean choice for them of being you have to support and being anti-Brexit or we won't support you. Like the kind of people that this person keeps talking about on Twitter these kind of people here who were absolutely screaming about how they were absolutely going to vote Lib Dems, bollocks to Brexit. Also, as far as the issue of Brexit is concerned, the Labour Party can't backpedal on years of hedging, flip-flopping, fence-sitting and dissimulating without incurring a massive loss of trust and good faith. After 30 years as Labour, I am now Lib Dem. This same person, obviously he's privated his account now, was saying that he had to agree with Starmer about him wanting to, him just saying, "Oh, okay, I guess we have to make Brexit work now." Or Starmer's correct, he can't do no wrong, despite the fact this is literally the position that Jeremy Corbyn had previously, but worse and less pro-EU. It's so, these people are completely, absolutely insane. And ideologically captured by the idea of Corbyn bad. They spent so long vilifying him for just wanting to have some kind of pragmatic proposal that they are now so tied to the anti-Corbyn era of Starmer that they're now completely reneging on everything they said between years 2017 and 2019 to just try and be as explicitly pro-Starmer as possible. They're so hypocritical. It's unbelievable. I didn't show the tweet before, so there you go. That's the tweet I was putting for. I guess I'll try and edit this segment because it's fucking fuck this shit up. Whatever. But even so, right? Where's another one of these people? These absolute charlatans just refusing to take any kind of responsibility for the part they played in ensuring that we had the worst Brexit possible by putting Johnson into number 10. Like, this is the one. This is like the ultimate cope tweet. Let's bring this one up. I'm seeing a lot of despair amongst Remainers rejoiners about UK Labour's current stance on Brexit. I think this despair is misplaced and that we are already on the path to rejoining in fucking, like, magical Christmas land as far as this person's concerned. It's important we understand the path. It has each stage of which must be completed before the next. Denial, acknowledgement, and an attempt to mitigate and seek a new deal, something like Norway, and finally rejoin. I'm sorry, mate. You just live in a fantasy land. Just put, like, it's literally, it is, Keir Starmer is the FBP wallet inspector extraordinaire. He really is. These people have well and truly had their wallets inspected at this point. Corbyn demonisation has at least made UK leftists start to create their own media, which was needed. You're welcome. Hey. This was like when backing a party with 12 MPs was the plan to stop Brexit. I'm like, and the thing is that all of these like Ramona types who were just ideologically committed to stopping Brexit at all costs, these were the ones who, as Liberal Democrats, refused to, put Corbyn's pro customs union Brexit deal through Parliament. These are the ones that refused to back a Corbyn caretaker government in 2019. They are just as to blame as all of the fucking Brexiteers by enabling all of the kind of the parliamentary tomfoolery that went into place to be able to stop any kind of sensible deal passing through the Commons. These people are entirely themselves are to blame. Like, how can they, like, it's just, and this exactly the same person we're getting here, right? I hate Brexit as much as anyone. I think it's the biggest mistake. But if Labour go into the next election on the basis of rejoining the single market, then they will lose. If they win instead, a lot will change. Whereas these were all the same people who wanted the fucking second referendum policy in 2019 that cost Labour the fucking election. I mean, at least they're learning, right? At least I'll give it to them that they're actually learning about this. But just seeing just so much delusion from these people is just, it's just absolutely unreal to me. Anyway, FVPs have all had their wallets inspected. They've all been shown to be people who are not actually people who have like some kind of committed opposition to Brexit or whatever, who are just people who just wanted Corbyn to go. They just wanted to go and they just wanted to find any reason to be able to demonise him. But, I guess that's what you get for being essentially anti-Brexit sycophants who, again, these people, these people, whenever you try and, like, for example, these are the same people during the RMT strikes. They're all in support of it until they found out that Mick Lynch was pro Brexit, and then suddenly all of their support fucking disappeared, and they didn't want to have to be seen to be supporting someone who was on the wrong side of the Brexit fence to them. Like this meme that I post on Twitter, I feel like it's FBP Twitter in a nutshell. Like literally, this is everything that goes into making an FBP, as far as I'm concerned. And for some reason, they're all transphobes as well. It's the same middle class liberal types who think they know better than everybody else, and they're all people, and a lot of them are so middle class they have to find reasons to be politically angry, and it's angry at people who supported Brexit and angry at trans people for fucking existing. Well, that's the point I was making, Ross. That's the point I'd made previously, right? Is that so the issue we have at the moment is that obviously the Northern Ireland Protocol means that we have a trade barrier between Great Britain and Northern Ireland, and to make sure that it maintains the Good Friday Agreement so goods can pass freely between Ireland and Northern Ireland. But everyone doesn't like that because it's bad for people who want to in Northern Ireland who want to trade with Great Britain, and it's bad for the government because it makes it look more appealing to be within the single market of the European Union than it is to be outside of it, because Northern Ireland's functioning better, and that's bad for people in Northern Ireland, and it's also bad for people who are just who want Brexit to make it look like it's working. Then that red line is something they don't want to cross. The problem is that once you change the Northern Ireland Protocol, that means that the hard border then gets created between the island of Ireland and Northern Ireland, which breaks the Good Friday Agreement, right? If you break the Good Friday Agreement, there will be war, there will be violence. So that doesn't work either. So you can't have the Northern Ireland Protocol because people don't like it because of the trade barriers between the island of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, and people don't like creating the hard border on the island of Ireland because that leads to like conflict, right? The other option is, of course, joining the customs union, and then it doesn't matter either way. If you rejoin the customs union, goods can freely flow into from Ireland into Northern Ireland, and then go from Northern Ireland to Great Britain because all those customs checks are part of the integrity of the customs union in itself. So all of that kind of agriculture deal that Keir Starmer and obviously Liz Truss was saying that they should be able to get wouldn't matter because that would all be covered by the customs union agreement. But that's an ERG red line. That's a red line they don't want to cross. That's the soft Brexit that apparently isn't the real Brexit. It's apparently what Keir Starmer has explicitly said that he won't do. So you have those choices. You have Northern Ireland Protocol, join the customs union, or war. That's your choice. There is no other way of doing it. You need to choose one of them. If you don't choose one of them, then you're not going to get anywhere, and we'll continue going around in these circles of negotiation and renegotiation over and over again, and you'll get fucking nowhere. It's as simple as that. I mean, you're absolutely right, Rosie. If they wanted a magic bullet, they just join the customs union. Absolutely 100% correct. It's the centrist commentariat who've all believed that they've believed that they have like a divine right to be above criticism, because in a pre-social media age, they never got to deal with criticism. They just got to write their pieces in the Guardian or in the Independent or in the Times, and then everyone would just have to read them, and then they got no pushback. But now social media is the time for instant pushback. Anytime they feel like they're being explicitly under attack personally because they've said something stupid in a newspaper, they never would have got it. So that's what's led to a lot of the issues that we have with regards to the centrist commentary at the moment. And just true, you're right. One equation: the only people who would ever would think about getting back into the customs union would be Labour, because you've only got Labour, you've got Conservative. The problem is that people don't quite understand the ramifications of of whether or not you're in the customs union, or what happens with the protocol, what happens with the Good Friday Agreement, because it's complex political diplomatic agreements between sovereign nations. So it's difficult to put that across to people and say, well, this is why it's necessary. Everyone who is anti-Brexit says, oh, it's not enough unless we rejoin. And everyone who's pro-Brexit says, oh, we still have literally any attachment to the European Union, so it's not proper Brexit anymore, despite it literally being us leaving the European Union. So it's really difficult to sell politically to the public, But, unfortunately, sometimes you just have to take a principled stance and say, we need to make sure that we avoid people dying in Northern Ireland, so we're going to rejoin the customs union. Simple. I mean, there is absolutely a case for the single market to be able to help UK GDP, but as far as I'm concerned, avoiding violence in Northern Ireland is more important than UK GDP. I would absolutely agree and say that if we want to be able to make the best deal that we possibly can materially, then we should absolutely rejoin the single market. I would agree with you 100% in one equation. But I don't think that's as politically viable as just sticking with just the customs union for the sake of the Northern Ireland Protocol, and that's the key sticking point that we have right now. Outside of that, from just a purely material standpoint, you're 100% correct. But do I think it's politically feasible? Probably not. That's one of the issues that I do have. Anyway, Keith has gone on ITV News, I think it is, yes, talking to Peston about how he would do Brexit differently. So let's have a look and see what he says and how he manages to spin this weird document into something that's at least moderately positive.
It's Keir Starmer, great to see you. You accept that Brexit has done economic damage. Most economists would say that's because we're not in the single market. So why on earth are you pledging not to take the UK back into the single market?
My focus is on growing the economy, and after 12 years of Tory...
Okay, well, there's your first problem, Keith. They've said, oh, okay, there's economic damage by not joining the single market. And they're like, well, my main focus is about growing the economy, which would happen if you rejoin the fucking single market, Keith.
Tory government, it's absolutely clear the economy is stagnant, it's stuck. And amongst the reasons for that is...
Yeah, you're 100% correct, Ross. So, it shows what the kind of politician Starmer is, that regardless of whether he thinks something's politically good or not, he'll only go for what's expedient.
Because the Brexit deal they've negotiated is holding us back. So what I'm setting out today is...
I just don't know why he's lying. I mean, I guess I understand why he's lying. Is if he just says it's all the issue with the Tory Brexit deal, then that's good for numbers, and you just blame everything on the Tories specifically or on Boris Johnson's deal or whatever. But it's just the issue is really with the ERG and their red lines that he has taken as read himself. Like the things that he's proposing are no different to what the Tories are proposing.
How we go forward from here, how we unblock that.
But there are no fundamental changes to our Brexit deal that you're proposing.
Our economy. Now, this is not about going back. So this is not about reopening the old wounds, not about going back and rejoining the EU. It's not about going back to the single market or the customs union or freedom of movement. It's about going forwards. And it's about sorting out the protocol, which I think can be sorted out in Northern Ireland. It's about removing trade barriers through devices like a...
That's literally what Liz Truss said. This is what the renegotiation of the Brexit deal and the Northern Ireland Protocol by the Tories is supposed to do.
Veterinary agreement, which have been agreed with other countries. It's about dealing with access for our services to the market, security, which obviously I'm very concerned about, having been Director of Public Prosecutions for 5 years, and it's about investing in the UK through our climate investment pledge. We pledged £28 billion a year to meet the climate crisis, to have that next generation of jobs.
That's nothing to do with Brexit, Key.
Jobs, and about buying more, making more, and selling more in Britain. So it's a forward-looking plan, not a backward-looking plan.
OK, but which respected economist has advised you that without joining the single market or the customs union, you're going to grow the British economy?
Well, it's clear, I think, to everybody that the government's deal is holding us back. We've got a stagnant economy. We've ended up...
It's not clear to me, Keir, because you're not offering anything in that's materially different to what they're at least trying to get with their negotiations with the European Union.
I suspect you haven't answered my question. People will say this is driven by focus groups, by the fact that you want to woo back Brexiters in the Red Wall and not by...
It's amazing that Keir Starmer is so pathetic, such a fucking charisma vacuum, and so devoid of any kind of policy or any kind of material proposition, that even Peston is looking like a competent journalist next to him.
Economics in the slightest.
I can be absolutely clear that my driving mission, and the driving mission of the next Labour government, will be to grow the economy. To grow the economy. 12 years of stagnation.
Okay, brilliant. We want to grow the economy is literally every single political party's message, apart from Jeremy Corbyn, for the past fucking 70,000 years or whatever. Okay, brilliant. You want to grow the economy? Give us some actual propositions with which to do that.
Nation have led us to a place where we've got high prices, high inflation.
How is this going to grow the economy? Give me an example of how this is going to grow the economy.
Low wages. This will remove the
low wages are happening because of the lack of unionisation and the move towards the gig economy and the service industry. It's nothing to do with the Brexit deal.
Barriers that are there, sort out the problems in Northern Ireland, give us better access for our services and a better deal on security. And that will help us grow our economy, along with investing in Britain, which is what our climate investment pledge is all about. So the central driving mission of this is to drive our economy.
But you're not telling us how.
12 years of failure have left us stuck and stagnant when it comes to the economy. It's the Achilles heel of the last 12 years.
Okay, but let's just look then at your specific proposals.
Yeah.
You are saying that what you want is the reduction of checks on flows of goods, on foods, on animals, by accepting EU standards. Are you saying you're going to accept them forever?
Well, it's about maintaining high standards, actually.
So if they change their standards, would we change with them?
We'd have an agreement, but it's about high standards for food and animal products, all the things I think that pretty well everyone is agreed on. Nobody is really making the argument that the way forward on trade is to reduce our standards. I want to be ambitious on trade.
But why do you think
with
the EU would
and
agree
the
to
other
this? If we're
countries.
not agreeing to accept their
Just say yes, we would agree to EU standards on food. We've had EU standards on food for ages, and it's good that we do.
standards in perpetuity, why do you think the EU will
We
accept
want
this?
to maintain high standards. I don't.
But why will the EU accept this? I'm not asking, what you want. I'm asking why would the EU accept this if we're not saying that we will follow their standards forever?
Well, look, I think there's an agreement to be reached on high standards. I think that if you take Northern Ireland, it reduces 80% of the checks that are at the moment being carried out and don't need to be carried out. I'm very happy to make the argument that we should be ambitious
That's literally what Liz Truss said.
as a trade
How is Starmer failing the Liz Truss test?
nation. And the kite mark of the UK is quality and high standards. And I think for many, many people, many families, they would be saying, I want to maintain the high quality in food and animal products that we have in the United Kingdom and to be proud about it. And after all, New Zealand and Canada.
New Labour slogan: security, prosperity, respect. Get rid of that. Those are words that have no kind of explicit meaning. How about we will do the good things and not do the bad things? Brilliant. Put it on a t-shirt. We've got it. Winning the next election.
Canada have both done veterinary agreements with the EU. It's quite possible to negotiate an agreement which would take away some of those barriers and help us to grow our economy. Because if we're stuck like this for much longer, it is really, really whacking so many families.
Maybe I agree with you, but your argument appears to be actually nothing more complicated than the EU will do things for you that they won't do for Boris Johnson. Is that the nub of your argument?
No, the nub of
Peston's absolutely correct. Absolutely correct.
our argument is we want to move forward and remove barriers. What Boris Johnson is doing is using Brexit to stoke up the old divisions. And when I was in Northern Ireland only 2 or 3 weeks ago, and we were talking about the protocol with British businesses over there and businesses in Northern Ireland. And the missing ingredient is any trust in our Prime Minister. Most businesses think that the protocol issues can be resolved. They've got a practical plan to resolve them. What they don't have is a Prime Minister with the trust that can actually achieve that negotiation.
No, that they're missing literally any kind of concrete proposal that's going to help, which neither you, nor Johnson, nor Liz Truss, who's actually engaging in the negotiations, is actually giving anybody. Because they've just said, we will go to the EU and ask for better and they will relent. Which they've already told us they're not going to fucking relent. It's just going to go on forever.
It's all about you versus him. That's all it is.
Oh, yes, we would make much better negotiations. We'd be much more trusted on the international stage. And trust is, just as when the Good Friday Agreement was forged in the first place, trust is the ingredient that you need in all of these negotiations. It's not there. The UK Prime Minister used to be the...
That's the problem. The problem is, the big problem is, right, he's talking about trust. He's talking about trust in to be able to fix things moving forward. And the issue is if he makes a specific policy claim or a specific policy promise, like he did with the pledges, he might, I don't know, be forced to renege on it at some point, and then all the trust goes. If he spends the entire time just saying, "You can trust me, I will do the good things and I won't do the bad things," then whatever he does, he'll just say he can then completely retcon history to make it look like he's doing the correct thing moving forward. Because if he says a specific policy, then he might not be able to deliver on that, and then suddenly he becomes then this idea of, well, you can trust me, goes away. Whereas if he just vaguely gestures at a platform moving forward, then he's got nothing that he has to ever stick to, because he's a fucking slimy little worm who has no convictions, no vision, and who has no commitment to anything other than just wanting to look prime ministerial. And that's his platform.
Honest broker in Northern Ireland, whichever political party they were in, that's been lost because of this.
Please vote for me because I am not Boris Johnson. What's your name? Also not Boris Johnson.
Prime Minister.
Now, opinion polls do show that many people are disappointed with how Brexit has turned out. People
Yeah.
who supported Brexit are now saying they're not supporting Brexit. You're abandoning those people.
Well, we've left the EU and we are not looking backwards, we're looking forwards. So this is not about rejoining, it's not about going back into the single market, the customs union or freedom of movement. It's about going forward
So things are going to stay the same, but I'm going to do them better somehow, and you're not telling us how.
with an ambitious five-part plan that will help us to grow our economy. And growing our economy will
Three parts of the plan have nothing to do with fucking Brexit, Keith. Come on.
be my mission and the mission of an incoming Labour government, because if we can grow the economy across the whole of the United Kingdom, we can seize the next generation of jobs, we can raise living standards, and we can deal with so many of the issues that so many families are confronted with at the minute with this stagnant economy.
Now, we're almost out of time. Two not really related questions, but important questions of the moment. One, Chris Pincher.
Yeah.
Do you think he should stand down?
And it's frustrating that Peston could have probed in and just said, you've told me nothing. You've said you will do things better and then expect the EU to relent. Because apparently they will do it because you're not Boris Johnson. You should have pushed harder. Like, why is he, like, he started playing hardball for like 5 seconds and then immediately went back to with the softball questioning. Why can Peston not just probe into where Starmer is refusing to give us a concrete, proper answer to these questions? God, journalism's pathetic. Why can we only trust Paxman at this point?
As an MP?
Well, look, I think this sorry saga is going on and on. We're yet again in a situation where ministers do a media.
Think of the economy like a piece of concrete. And like any good piece of concrete, it can grow. I like it when concrete grows. I don't like it when it doesn't grow. Now, Boris, he won't grow the concrete, but I am the other man. And I can tell you with hand on heart that, I can promise you that I can promise to you today, members of the public, that I will indeed grow the concrete. I am the concrete growing man, and you can trust me to do so. How do you do it? I will do it because I have always been shown to have a good track record with growing concrete. If you never see, have I ever promised to grow concrete previously and not done previously? I think you'll find I have not. So if you listen to me, we can create a better future for everybody with a good, proper British concrete growing. How are you going to do it? Through my skills. I have the skills to make sure that the concrete grows. That's it. That is a Keir Starmer speech in a nutshell. He's the most fucking... How does anyone look at this man and see him as being sincere? This is why he polls lower than Boris Johnson as preferred Prime Minister, right? Because he doesn't tell you anything. He's so untrustworthy. He doesn't give you any reason to trust him. He's a fucking charisma vacuum. He's pathetic.
Around, and the moment they finish, the story changes because number 10 and the Prime Minister haven't been straight with us all along. And it is a saga going round and round on this. It doesn't matter whether it's
Yes, and you're...
this particular case. We've got a Prime Minister who makes bad judgment calls and puts himself before his country.
But Pincher himself, should he cease being an MP?
Well, I think he's being investigated at the moment, so we'll have to wait until the end of that. But this is about what's in issue now is the judgment of the Prime.
Just say yes. It's a Tory MP who's been accused of sexual assault. Just say yes. Every woman watching... Actually, I guess he's sexual assaulting men, I guess. So even everybody watching who's ever been a victim of sexual assault is just going up to you and no, just say yes. He, as a person who is well known for being a handsy piece of shit, just say yes. It would be one less Tory... Just say yes, Keith.
Prime Minister.
Yeah. Now, we're going to get the verdict from Durham any day. If they fine you, do you stick to your position that you will resign?
Yes.
Simple as that?
Yes.
OK. Keir Starmer, as always, very good.
Well, at least he managed to give at least one definite answer to a question that was asked there of whether he would resign over the Partygate if a Partygate fine came out. Literally, you're absolutely right with one equation. He is the absolute 100% embodiment of everything wrong with your average politician. No concrete policies, no proper answers. The continuing ability to just kind of beat around the bush rather than getting to the heart of the issue, and not making any promises so that he can make sure that he has the ability to break them later. Like, what do you say? What do you say to someone who is just so monumentally unlikable as Keir Starmer? And that's why the populace, because the populace in general has a high opinion of Labour as a party, but incredibly low opinion of Keir Starmer as leader. His position is completely fucking untenable at this point. Anyway, if you enjoyed that, future YouTube viewers, please consider liking and subscribing and leaving a comment down below. Hey, Sensibilium, the tier 1 subscription. Welcome to the No Justice stream. Thank you very much for the support. It's always appreciated. You can do that too, future YouTube viewers, by looking in the description box down below, clicking my Twitch link or going to that URL there, and you can subscribe and support me there too. You can also subscribe on Patreon if you would like to as well. And if you click the bell, it'll notify you when I go live on YouTube. Thank you very much for joining, future YouTube viewers, and I'll catch you on the next video.